Hi, welcome to the first in a series of talks about BMDs on the internet. I'm Ian Hartas. I'm the author of the website software used for the Cheshire BMD, Lancashire BMD and all the other websites which have now become known as the local BMD project. I've also written the UK BMD website, UK GDL and UK MFH. Over the years I've had the privilege of talking to various family history societies and U3A groups, talking for about an hour on the subject of BMDs on the internet, births, marriages and deaths, that is, if you hadn't guessed already. And the talks normally well accepted, but one major criticism I've had of these talks is that I tried to cram a bit too much into 1 hour. So the aim of these talks is to split my hour talk into a series of bite-sized chunks, which you can then view in order or pick and choose as you wish to learn about a particular aspect of the project and revisit them if you need a quick refresher. Please don't bookmark the individual talks, because if I update them then the address will change, so always use the tutorials page within the UK BMD website and you can always be guaranteed to pick up the latest versions. So, what's this all about? This is all about civil registration. Civil registration started in 1837 in England and Wales, 1855 I believe in Scotland, and a bit later again in Ireland. If you want full details about all the aspects of civil registration, births, marriages and deaths and so on, and including all the parish data that preceded the civil registration, I would recommend this book by David Einart and Audrey Collins, Births, Marriages and Deaths. It's a really good read, has all the information you'd ever need as a genealogist to help you trace your family tree within the UK. You'd find links to this book on the page where you found this tutorial link and other places within the UK BMD website itself. So how do we use civil registration? Well, a birth certificate would have the names of the person being born, the date the person was born, and the names of the parents. From the names of the parents you could then look for a marriage certificate, if the birth certificate said they were married. On the marriage certificate it would say their approximate age, which would allow you to then look for their birth certificates. So you can work your way backwards from birth certificate to marriage certificate to birth certificate, all the way back to the start of civil registration in the area that you're looking into. Deaths complete the picture. Births and marriages help you build up your family tree, but it's always important to match a birth with a death. The temptation is that you'd find a marriage, then you'd find a birth of a person and think, that's the name I'm looking for, and then you attribute a whole family tree to that name, whereas in fact that person may have died young. It was quite common in previous times for a child to be named in honour of a grandparent or an uncle perhaps, but due to the high infant mortality rate, that child may have died, and then a year or so later another child comes along and that child was also given the same first name, and it's that child that you really want to pin the tree to. So by matching a death to each birth, you can be sure that you've not fallen into that trap of pinning a tree to the wrong person. Quarterly copies of the original registration entries, which are held by your local register office, were sent from the local areas to the General Register Office, the GRO. Now if you think back to 1837, there's no typewriters, certainly no computers, everything's done by hand, and unfortunately this copying process from the originals held by your local register office to the General Register Office has introduced lots of errors and lots of omissions. If you want full details about the scope of the error rate, I can recommend two good books, both by the same author, Michael Whitfield Foster, called A Comedy of Errors Part 1 and A Comedy of Errors Part 2. And again, I've provided links to where you can buy copies of these on the UK BMD webpage where you find this tutorial. So, how do you get hold of copies of these certificates? Well, it'd be nice to think you could just wander into your local register office and say, can I have a look at your registers? They're not going to allow that. The best they might do is put you down at a table and say, have a look through this paper index. And if you found an entry in the paper index, you'd reference the number and the registrar would use that number and go off and bring back a copy of the certificate for you. Now it's these indexes which are coming online, and we can use through websites such as Lancashire BMD, Cheshire BMD and all the others in the local BMD project. And there are various aspects to using the search software, so there are various talks split up into how to get the best out of the birth searches, the marriage searches, how to find people if you don't know the exact spelling of the surname or you think that the spelling may be subject to regional differences. There's a talk on searching all the local BMD project websites in one go. So there's a wide variety of information, all broken down, as I say, into bite-sized chunks. See you in the next tutorial.